group stage of Euro 2024 is finally over, which means that every team now knows what their road to the final looks like. They know who they'll be facing in the round of 16 and who they could possibly face in the quarterfinals and semifinals. But you know what else that path tells us? That two of the biggest favorites going into this tournament can only meet in the final. And of course, you know what two teams we are referring to, England and France. And let us tell you right now, that final is so needed. Why? Well, come along as we look at why the world needs an England versus France matchup in the Euro 2024 final. Potential viewership. First of all, that game has the potential to be the most watched final in the history of the Euros based on star power alone. England and France are easily the two most star-studded nations in Europe, and probably even in world football, which simply means that millions of fans would love to watch a game that features both teams. When you have Kylian Mbappe, Harry Kane, Jude Bellingham, Antoine Griezmann, Phil Foden, Bukayo Saka, William Saliba, N'Golo Kante, Cole Palmer, Jules Kounde, and many more all in one game, you won't only have fans from both countries watching, you'll also have fans from some of the biggest football clubs in the world tuning in to see how their players perform on one of the biggest international stages ever. And even apart from the eyes the clubs bring, these two national teams have a lot of hype on their own. Going into the last 4 major tournaments or so, they've always been touted as the top 2 favorites, so finally seeing them lock horns in the final of a major tournament will feel like something the whole world has been waiting for. And yes, they may not have exactly blown our minds with their group stage performances, but people will still pay good money to watch Les Blues take on the Three Lions anytime. And as it stands, the only stage we can get that in this tournament is the final. El Clasico of European football. See, let's face it, England versus France is the El Clasico of European international football. The South Americans have Brazil versus Argentina, and they were blessed with a final for the ages in the 2021 Copa America. And best believe everybody was tuned in. This might just be Europe's turn. Bear in mind that France and England have never met in a major final, and that alone automatically makes it something everybody wants to see. Revenge factor. And you know another reason it'll be extra entertaining? Because if that game does happen, England, especially Kane, will be extra motivated by the possibility of taking revenge for what happened at the 2022 World Cup. As you know, England got knocked out by France in the quarter-final of the Qatar World Cup, and much of the blame was heaped on Captain Kane because he failed to convert a penalty which would have, at the very least, taken the game to extra time, having a chance to right those wrongs and win the country a major trophy for the first time in 58 years. In the process will feel like a double victory for the captain and the rest of the country. We're pretty sure in the heads of most of those England players, the picture of Mbappe letting out what seemed like a maniacal war cry after Kane missed that pen is still fresh. So, they'll be desperate to wipe that look off his face. Hungry teams. Another reason the world needs this final is because of the hunger we will see. In France and England, we have two of the losing finalists in the last 2 editions of the Euros, France in Euro 2016 and England in Euro 2020, so the pain is relatively fresh for both of them. What this means is that, if that final really does happen, we will be seeing two teams who have come super close in the recent past but haven't managed to win this particular trophy. So they'll be coming with a different type of hunger. Remember, nobody in the France or England squad has ever laid a hand on the Euros trophy. None. We'll also be seeing two teams who had their hearts broken by penalty shootouts at the last Euros, so we'll naturally expect that they'll be a lot more prepared this time. So, even if the game goes to penalties, expect it to still be very entertaining. Ballon d'Or decider. Speaking of entertainment, what could be more entertaining than a final where there is a lot at stake? Apart from the desire to win the trophy itself, if we do get a France versus England final, it is likely to be a Ballon d'Or decider, as we'll be seeing two of the biggest contenders for the award this year, Kylian Mbappe and Jude Bellingham, go head-to-head. They each got 1 goal in the group stage and have shown that they're their country's main men, so if they can go on to lead their respective countries to the final, then it is very likely to be a winner-takes-all game. Whoever wins that game wins the trophy and will probably also win Player of the Tournament and the 2024 Ballon d'Or. Revenue potential. Now, the last reason we know the world needs an England versus France final is this: like history has taught us, having two heavyweight teams in a final automatically makes everybody tune in to watch. For example, the 2022 World Cup between France and Argentina, which featured two of the biggest players in world football, Messi and Mbappe, recorded an insane 1.5 billion viewers, which was a huge bump from the 12 billion who watched the 2018 World Cup final between France and Croatia. Unsurprisingly, that 2022 World Cup final instantly became the most watched final in World Cup history. And you know what that tells us? A France versus England final certainly has the potential to be the most watched final in Euros history just based on the star power of both teams. So, considering the revenue that could be made, we're certain even UEFA would want an England versus France final. Conclusion: considering the number of superstars who will feature, the hunger the teams will come into the game with, and the Ballon d'Or possibly being at stake, we're also pretty sure the entire world of football needs an England versus France Euro 2024 final. If that final does happen, who will you be backing? Tell us in the comments. If you think there's no way we'll be getting that final at Euro 2024, feel free to make your predictions. 2. Who will get to the final? Who will win it? Who will finish with the golden ball and the golden boot? Let us know. As always, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, turn on the bell notification so you never miss out on new content. Catch you in the next one. Bye.